Well, Larry, the big news of today was obviously Jackson Hole, Wyoming, where the Fed chairman rather, surprised a lot of folks, I think, by being a little dovish. And this obviously is a big help to Tesla, as it should bring down interest rates on cars and stimulate the economy. Both of those things should be helpful. What did you think about what happened today and the impact?
Out of character. I don't know if it's because he had a gun to his head, given the political changes or the potential political changes at the Federal Reserve. They definitely, I think, had an impact, which is what they were designed to do.
Right.
But it was the right thing to do. I mean, he should have done it at the last. I mean, what changed in 3 weeks, Randy?
Yeah.
What news did we get in 3 weeks that would have changed his view of the world?
And for him to specifically call out softening job market. Now, I heard a couple of his governors or presidents on various channels this week, saying that they've talked to their, the people in their regions and there's a little softening. But quite frankly, the jobs numbers that came out, what do you call it, the initial jobless claims on Thursday showed that people were getting their jobs faster now. And that was the stat I noticed, is that the length of time it's taking people to get the job is shortening. So that seemed like good news this week.
There was nothing specific this week that would point to a change. Look, it's one thing for him to have a dovish view, but it's another thing for him to have had a hawkish or a mildly hawkish view 3 weeks ago and to have a dovish view today. The only thing that happened was intense pressure on him from a political point of view in terms of, the potential criminal liability of one of the members of the board.
Yeah, Governor Cook. Yeah.
Was she? She's a governor. Yeah. So that's telling him, hey guys, there's going to be real action here if you don't get off your. I mean, it's the Trump method. Trump is, he does not hold back. And the truth is that, in his first term, such a lot of really, really nasty stuff was thrown at him that he realizes the only way to play this game is by their rules. So, you promulgate these rules, which is, blood sport, and you're going to get played in blood sport. So there you are. And I feel bad. Yeah.
I think there was a chance that he was also kind of hearing it from the financial community as well. I mean, apparently he has some respect for Besant, and Besant has been telling him for a while that this is what needs to happen. But then
where was the respect 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, well, that's true. But I was hearing a tremendous amount from the various punditry saying, no, it's time to cut. It's time to cut.
Look, we thought that the interest rates were too high. The housing market is still on its back. In fact, it's more on its back now than it was even 3 weeks ago, but it was pretty bad 3 weeks ago.
Right.
That alone should have led to a relaxing of the interest rates. There was no threat of inflation on the horizon. He reduced interest rates just before the election.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you want to say that was not a political move, then you have to ask, why has he suddenly turned hawkish 3 months after and 6 months after the election? What changed?
Yeah.
In fact, if anything, the original tariff reaction of the market really called for some softening. And anyway, it's a mystery. It's an absolute mystery to me why today should be dovish. And look, maybe it is time to be dovish. and maybe 3 weeks ago things were very different. Okay, point out to me the numbers. Point out to me the facts that indicate that that's how it should be.
So from my viewpoint, this is the kind of the last piece of the puzzle that was needed to get the economy really going. Tom Lee was just on CNBC a little while ago today. He says mortgages right now are actually higher, has a higher spread than usual.
Yes.
And that they have room to move down even
Yes.
more than this quarter point that we're talking about.
I agree.
And so it's possible that mortgages could be getting down close to 6 or under 6. The other part of the economy that's been behind, we've been talking about it for months, is durables. Durables are going to be impacted by this. Home Depot said on Tuesday, the only part of our business that's slow is the big purchases, which are going to be impacted by the rates going down. And then that if both of those get going, that'll help freight. That was the other category that right now is looking kind of soft. So you get 3 for 1 with this change. It just seems like this opens up the possibility for a very strong finish.
Well, I don't know what you mean by a strong finish. If you're talking about the rates, are you talking about a half-point drop? I think the half-point drop betting is probably gone up quite dramatically. I didn't look at the betting websites today, but I can't imagine they haven't improved quite dramatically on the two, on the
quarter
potential half-point rise.
Yeah, the quarter point rise is back over 90% again, and
but the half point is
I heard on the half.
Yeah. I think the half point is the better indicator because the quarter point is now a given.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is the half point in play? And if so, and maybe that's his way to solve this problem. Maybe he does a deal with Trump, leave Cook alone. Let me give you a half point. That's where we're going here.
Could happen. So then Tom Lee went on to say, and I've become quite the Tom Lee fan by
I am a lifetime fan of Tom Lee. So I'll talk about Tom Lee in a minute if you want.
So he's talking about a possible 7,000 on the S&P. He's talking about a continuation of the rotation into the mid caps and the small caps, which would be impacted the most by these reductions. But he says the number one bet is still the techs, the AI in particular. So I'll set that up and I'll let you go talk about Tom Lee.
Well, Tom Lee is, extraordinary intellect. And there are a lot of extraordinary intellects on Wall Street, but he's an extraordinary intellect that keeps on getting it right. Time after time after time after time. And so I'm a lifelong fan of his. When he started talking of the rotation, I was in the midst of investing in these infrastructure plays, small to mid cap infrastructure plays. They have done so well. And, it's not that he inspired me. Actually, I will tell you, the Motley Fool inspired me, not him.
Motley Fool. Oh my.
Yeah. I read the Motley Fool every week. I've been subscribing to them for 20 years. 20 years? No, it may be 20 years.
Maybe.
But he gave me the conviction.
I gotcha. Yeah.
That what they were talking about made sense, but I chose the stocks. I actually looked at some of the things they were doing, and I chose stocks, mid caps in infrastructure, particularly around the kinds of structures and the kinds of infrastructure necessary for data centers.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't recognize any of these names. I didn't.
Right.
But when I did the research, I found they were highly liquid, extremely long history of solid earnings, and poised to do extraordinarily well in this change in the marketplace. And I've done very well out of those. And, I'm in Tesla, NVIDIA, and one or two other tech stocks. And then I'm in these stocks and Barron funds, Barron partner funds. So, and then I've got all my, well, not a lot, but I've got some private equity. But so the stocks that have done best for me are those infrastructure mid-cap stocks.
Interesting, isn't that?
So he's not blowing smoke. He's absolutely on target. And here's what he says. We are at the beginning of a bull market, not the end of a bull market. We're at the beginning of a bull market.
Yeah, and of course, OpenAI, what Sam Altman said the other day, we're in a bubble. His product manager was interviewed by 𝐒𝐚𝐚𝐲 yesterday, who kind of explained the bubble and says, no, he wasn't talking about the overall market in a bubble. He says, think of us being around 20, like it was in 1997. That's where he sees us right now with regard to the AI buildup compared to the internet buildup.
I think he's right. I think that if you think about the internet buildup, I think only a handful of names survived.
Right.
Just a handful of names survived. I think the same is going to be true here. I get a dozen direct messages a week. Oh, we're starting this AI company. We're starting that AI company. We're starting this AI feature. We're starting that AI feature. I mean, I call them features.
Yeah.
We're starting this AI SaaS company. That's like death. And so, and I mean, I read what they say. I think about the product that they're going to do. And I always reply. So anybody who wants to ask me, I mean, they'll get a reply. I don't invest in but one in maybe 1,000, but but they're always welcome to ask. But don't send me, I'm going to build an AI agent to do this little thing. I'm going to do an AI agent. Because if that's what you're doing, you're probably not going to do very well out of it.
Right.
Because, the individual can create his own AI agent to do his own thing exactly the way he or she wishes it to work. Don't have to buy your app that you created with your head to do that. And by the way, if you create it and they think it's really good, they can create it themselves.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. So last thing on Tom Lee, he's talking about 7,000 by 7,000 S&P by the end of the year. Does that make sense to you?
It may make sense or may I don't do that kind of prognostication. And I have the infinite respect for Tom Lee. He's infinitely more attuned to the market and more intelligent than I am, infinitely. But I don't look at these short-term targets or these specific targets by a particular date, as you know.
Yes, I do.
I think that his call that we are in a bull market
is more important. Okay.
Is very, very important. And I think that's the reality. And of course, when we look at Tesla, I just want to say again, as I've said many times on your show, I don't call for Tesla to be at any particular price by the end of this year. I'm very bullish on Tesla. I don't think I've ever been as bullish as I am right now on Tesla. As opposed to some of us who, panic sells our stock from time to time. But I don't think I've ever been as bullish. But I can't tell you a date. I can't give you a date. I can't even give you a target. I like the target that 𝐒𝐚𝐽 sets. I'm not opposed to it, but that's not my target.
Yeah.
My target is to see the full evolution of the current direction of the company in its major products. That's my target. At that point, I'll be happy to pass those shares on to my children. I don't know.
So there was no news on our favorite subjects today. Robotaxi had no news. what do you call it? The Optimus had no news. None of those had any news today, but there was news on the old hardware stuff. Okay, the bending metal part of the business. We've had these price increases and package opportunities on the Cybertruck, the S and the X, and apparently the S and X are going to Europe, according to some regulatory paperwork that's been filled out. So you think this is because they're sold out of the Y and the 3 in the United States and got to find something to sell?
Look, I don't follow the legacy business very closely. I really don't. I do tell you that what caught my attention was in Fremont today. They saw some castings that they think to be the CyberCab castings. Now, we've seen castings at Texas, at Austin, that we prognosticated were CyberCab castings, and I think what we're looking at may well be, and I think that bears deeper research. I didn't have time to research. I had a very busy day. I still have family from all over the world here, so can't really do the deep dive. But I think that we are seeing some important developments in what I think is the new business for Tesla.
Cool. Yeah. Well, that'll be, of course, that is the excitement that we're all looking forward to.
Not to mention the spooling up of the semi plant. So that's pretty exciting, and that's also in the future. That's in the future, a product range for Tesla.
Yeah, there was also news that Waymo has been licensed in New York City.
Yep, good news. Yep.
And of course, yesterday we had the news that Tesla is hiring in Chicago. So pretty much all of my co-hosts now, I don't remember if I asked you this on Monday, but pretty much everybody is saying kind of looks like we're getting ready for kind of kind of what Elon talked about, go slow and then go fast. So it's like once we have a confirmation that we can, safely do Austin, maybe even wait until we're safely doing San Francisco, but at some point there's going to come a day when maybe it's explosive in terms of the rollout.
Yeah, don't look for it to happen tomorrow or next week or next month. Don't. I mean, I think that sometime in about 6 months, it's going to start exploding. But everybody's talking it up right now, really yakking it up and thinking it's going to explode tomorrow. But look, I could be wrong. I've been wrong so often in the past, so it wouldn't make, but I don't think it's going to explode tomorrow. I think we're looking at a 6-month cycle. Remember, right now they have to have a safety monitor. They're limited by how many safety monitors they want to employ, to get the thing rolling.
Right.
So, I think it was Farzad who waited 37 minutes for a car the other day. So they only have a handful of cars right now that they're using, and they're not restrained by the number of cars they can put on the road. They're restrained by, the number of safety monitors they want to put on the road and the amount of bandwidth they've got in the center in terms of managing the situation. We don't know how quickly that's going and how smoothly that's going. We don't even know that they're running version 14 on these cars. I know a lot of people claim that they're running version 14 on the cars. I have reason to believe they're not.
I think you have some agreement in the other co-hosts as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I think anybody who has a very specific, experience will tell you that this is not version 14, but I'm very excited to see version 14 come out. I think that's going to be a giant step. That's much more exciting to me than thinking about they're going to, explode tomorrow in terms of numbers.
Getting the 14 out. Absolutely. On another subject, Elon laughed today at somebody's post that fusion is close. And Brian Wang and I did a show last week, all of the different energy sources. And there are, of course, the Trump administration now is really pushing hard on fission and is certainly supporting fusion. And there is a fusion plant that is supposedly maybe going to start up actual commercial level
In Massachusetts, yeah, in
in
Massachusetts.
2028, I want to say. I think 2028.
Yeah, I listened to these guys from this fusion plant in Massachusetts. I forget the name offhand. I forget all names these days, but um, they're probably the furthest along. Commonwealth Energy, I think, Commonwealth Fusion or Commonwealth Energy. They're furthest along, I think. I think I've got that right. And I listened to them, and they made a whole lot of sense, and I think they had achieved fusion in one, millionth of a second or something. So I think, we have a ways to go, but I would join Elon in that laughter because, fusion's always been 50 years away for as long as I can remember. Anyway.
And so then on the energy question, there's been huge amounts of conversation over the last 3 or 4 days about, of course, solar battery, with the Trump administration continuing to be negative on it, which is like one of only two things that I don't agree with Trump on. It's like I agree so completely across the board on everything he's doing, but somehow I feel like he's way off the path with regard to solar and batteries. I don't even care about wind. Brian Wang convinced me a long time ago that wind is not the ultimate source. It is fission and solar and batteries.
I'll tell you the central issue with solar is that we don't have a grid that we can rely upon in this country.
Mm-hmm.
In China, they have a really good grid. Now, why is that important? It's because with solar, you cannot rely upon it to always deliver energy in a certain time scale,
Mm-hmm.
which if you could be very useful in terms of solar and battery, and you're done. But because there's always the chance with your solar and battery, one day in 500, one day in 1,000, that you will run out of gas, you have to be connected to the grid, and the grid has to be able to supply whatever the level of energy you need at that given moment.
Mm-hmm.
And that's at least as much as the solar farm can deliver. So whenever you have a solar farm of large magnitude, it has to be connected to the grid. And so the problem we have is that we just don't have the grid interconnects that will work. Now, you can build a solar farm today that can supply, umpteen amount of energy, and you can build a data center or whatever it is you need the energy for, but typically right now it's a data center. But you cannot do that without the ability to connect to the grid. And connecting to the grid is the problem these people are fighting. And they're fighting it because they can't get connections to the grid. And so they're trying to create these energy sources that are wholly and 100% reliable. So they go to natural gas,
right,
which is, the cheapest and the simplest form of energy. And of course, now they're running into problems getting generators.
Yeah, right.
That's a whole nother problem. But the bottom line here is that solar is really good if you have a great grid, and we do not have a great grid.
Okay. And so this sounds like a question that Elon Musk, especially in combination with Grok, could solve.
I don't see how Grok can solve it. I think the biggest problem is bureaucratic. Right now, the grid is so politically fractured by the different centers and owners of it. And, we could replace the grid with higher quality steel lines and completely transform the grid to where it could carry many times the limits that it has right now, and do it reliably and do it in such a way that solar will become a real factor, a true factor for us. But the factions and the politics and the discontinuities and the bureaucracy of the problem is just overwhelming. Now, if Trump would wade in and, wave his magic wand or his magic knife and cut the stuff maybe it would happen, but right now it's not happening. It may be, maybe behind the scenes they're actually doing that. And this Secretary of Energy and the Secretary of Commerce are going to do it for us. But right now I don't see it.
Yeah, no evidence of it. Yeah, I've done a couple of programs on the grid, and clearly you've hit it out of the park in terms of the two issues that currently exist. Larry, let's. You have anything else on Tesla today? Because that's all I got. All right, let's look at how the market's turned out. We'll take a look, of course, at Tesla, which was up 6.22% today. That is a very good day, back up to 340. So even though you don't pay any attention to it, that would be back into its technical breakout space there, the 338. We're down a little bit though, Larry. We're down 0.01% in the after hours. So it's a pretty solid gain today. I think everybody was very happy. I didn't see any unhappy Tesla bulls today. Where we really got happy, not just the Tesla bulls, but everybody else, there we go, was with the bonds down 7.6% on the 10. That was really good. But I think if I understand it right, yeah, here we go. The 2-month was down 16. No, that's not correct. I misread that. That was actually up. The 2-month was up. 2-year, okay. 2-year was down almost 10 basis.
That's what we're looking for. We're looking for the out years to go down. We're not looking for the short term to go down.
Yeah. So that was a really, really good day in terms of the bonds. And we hope that just continues, obviously. You've got Brent. I'm sorry, all of a sudden CNBC has been playing with my dashboard. So I can't even see Texas Intermediate right now for some reason. But oil is basically flat today, up a little tiny bit. Natural gas, though, down more, Larry, 4.74%, down to 269.
It's getting into the levels where it's dangerous for us. I mean, we want gas to be a reasonable price for them to drill.
Drill. Yeah, more capability. And then we've got your favorite, Larry. It's going the wrong way, though. Gold, of course, because bonds are going down, the dollar is going down. So gold is up $35 to $3,417 again.
Not bad. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah. And silver trying to get back to all-time highs, 2% up at 38.88. I think the high was 39.5, something like that. And copper is stalled at 446. It's where it's been for over a week, I think. I mean, it's been up and down around it, but basically right there. So, but Bitcoin, Larry, did you buy some Bitcoin this morning?
Did not.
It wasn't up as much as Tesla, but it's up 4.28%, 4,805. See, it seems so big.
Yeah.
116,919. So long way to go to get back to its all-time high. And of course, there's no pre-market on Friday night. But that's all that I got, Larry. Is there?
Well, I keep thinking of this person I knew who bought Bitcoin at 86 cents.
Yeah, I know. or bought 2 pizzas with 1 Bitcoin.
Yeah. Well, that's the other side of the coin. And I'm getting quite interested because I'm going to sell my house in another. I mean, I can put it on the market in another couple of months, and I think I'm going to time it perfectly. I was thinking I would have to hold. Yeah. I was thinking I would have to hold it until next March, next spring.
Next spring, yeah.
And now it's beginning to look good for this before the fall. As long as I can sell it before the fall, I'll be golden.
There you go. And you'll have all that money, and you'll want to figure out where to put it. If you're listening, if you're talking to Tom Lee, he's saying you shouldn't put it in Bitcoin. You should put it in the other one, right? To Ether or ETH.
Ether.
That's his deal, right?
Ethereum.
Ethereum. Isn't that the one he's investing in?
Yeah, I'm not going to take his advice on that one.
I have to admit that I'm tempted to put a little bit in just for fun, just
Why not?
because Tom says so.
Okay. Why not?
All right, Larry.
All right, Randy.
As
All the
always,
best.
a thrill to have you on, and to all of you out there, it's been great talking to you.